Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am ever and always your host, the Lore Runner. And now it is time at last to find the right song. There we go. There's the right song. The song has been stuck in my head lately. As per usual, I like to start with show news. Did you know we have a website? I know, it's shocking. But we actually do, in fact, have a website. There are still people who seem to be unaware of that fact. So we're gonna kind of keep mentioning that over and over and over, apparently until the end of time. It is just where we're at with that. I'll stop plugging it the moment people actually start going to it. All right. But the reason I bring that up, several people have already noticed this. That's awesome. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback about it, so that's awesome. But we have a dark mode now on the website. And that is by popular request. Several people liked it. If you're wondering where it is, it's in the right column. So for those of you who haven't been to the website, there's two columns that show up on every page. So no matter what page you're looking at, there's those two columns. And the right column has the toggle for the dark mode for anybody who wants that. You know, probably I'll be dying, Mike Romano, being killed. You know, what'll happen is the plucky heroes will come trying to defeat the evil emperor. That's me. And they'll be like, die, bastard, snub it. And I'll be, did you know I had a website? And of course the castle explodes and they have to escape, because that's how that always works. Thank you, Shikor, very much. No, Inosians, to answer your question. Although I don't have that problem, as I'm testing it literally right now. But either way, the answer is no. There's no capacity to do that. And thank you, Shikor. Did I already say thank you? Either way, thank you, Shikor, very much. I'm putting that towards Dragon Age Origins. And by Dragon Age Origins, I mean Dragon Age Origins 2! Before I start jotting this down, though, I have a question for you, Shikor. I mean, I know Dragon Age Origins 2 is great and all. But we do have another thing that was just added to the list yesterday. It's a new game, kind of. If you look at the list, it'll be pretty easy to find because it'll be pretty much at the top of the list. And I just want to draw everyone's attention to this. Is actually my second bit of news here. So some of you may or may not be aware of the fact that we're going through the Megaman block right now. And a very important question was asked, actually by several people in both the VODs, YouTube comments, and just several people asked me live, and a few people asked me in private messages, why aren't we covering all the Megamans? And the answer is, well, because that wasn't what was requested back when these were added to the list, by whoever added to the list. I don't even remember off the top of my head. And I can look, because I keep those records. But whoever added it, they specifically asked for Classic 1 through 6, the NES ones, X 1 through 3, the SNES ones, and 0, 1 through 4, the GBA ones. Now, those were added to the list quite a while ago, years ago, actually, in fact. And things have changed. We've gotten the collection. The collections have expanded a little bit since then, been a little more accessible. And, of course, we have the Z and CX collection, which came out in the intervening time. So the only reason we're stopping with those and not doing all the Mega Mans is because they weren't funded. So anyways, if anybody has any interest in continuing to fund the Mega Man, so we just play the Mega Mans and just finish them up, you are more than welcome to. To be specific, that means we would be playing through ZX 1 and 2, through X 4 through 8, and Classic 8 through 10 would be the specific games that would be added to the list. I've already done all the math and figured out what it needs, and I may have thrown some dealer's choice at that to make that happen. But if anybody, I just thought I'd draw people's attention to it if anybody actually has any interest other than the people who have asked, which is obvious. And I suppose that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Some of you may or may not know that I haven't really been reallocating dealer's choice all that much. Now, there's several reasons for that. The biggest reason is that I haven't had a need to, and that I've been trying to catch up on runs, not, have runs be funded faster than they're being run. So in the interest of catching up, I haven't really been allocating dealer's choice. But I have a fair bank, if you will, of dealer's choice. And, well, all that dealer's choice right there, 45 people donating $632, that's just the last month of dealer's choice. So I just thought I'd point that out. Now, if we do that, that's going to extend the Mega Man block drastically. But, I mean, it's because it's a bunch of games, right? That's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 9 additional games being added to the list. So I just thought I'd kind of point that out for anybody curious. Yeah, you got it, Shikor. So I'll put the other one towards Dragon Age 2, and I'll put that towards Mega Man Continuation. And I don't understand your question, Mike D'Amato. If you don't mind explainating what you mean, then we will answer all the things. And I gotta go see, because it looks like Dream Whisperer just dropped some money on my face. Thank you, Dream Whisperer, as always. I am very much appreciative. Thank you. And I will put that towards Mega Man Continuation. Oh, a WoW block is insanity, Mike D'Amato. I mean, we technically could do that, but no. A Tor block would actually be worse, because a Tor block would be longer than a WoW block. Any chance I'll grow tired of playing Mega Man games? Okay, so... oh, that sucks, Omega Legion. I'm sorry. Wait, hang on. On the back here, it says for Omega Legion 8! Oh, that's the problem. See, I'm Omega Legion 8. I've been meaning to tell you that. So they gave me your... I'm sorry. I'll try to get this sent to you as quickly as possible. Hopefully it'll be there in a few days. Actually, fun fact, I bought a copy of Metroid Dread for a friend of mine. And it's not even getting there until, like, Tuesday, because he doesn't live near an Amazon distribution hub, so that's just kind of... that's that. Anyways. So, Mega Man Continuation block, and other one. I suppose I should finish answering Mike D'Amato. So here's the thing, Mike D'Amato. While we could do a WoW block, that would be insane. We're already... chopping MMOs up by expansion, you know, treating an expansion as a full game, just makes substantially more sense from several levels, especially since any given MMO's expansion is going to have an absolutely enormous amount of content. Like, that's going to be a really long, really extensive stream, right? We know what it's like to stream all of WoW. We've done that. It was a month and a half solid. So that's why we're not doing, like, a WoW block, for example. And again, Tor would be worse, because Tor is actually even slower in several respects. And yeah, that would also take an absolutely incredible amount of funding in order to be funded. So. I mean, everyone tells me that, Trihexe. Everyone tells me that, so we'll see when we get there. Thank you, Jaludo. Very much. As always and ever, I do appreciate. Thank you so much. I know, Mega Legion. Oh my god, that has been the bane of my existence for years. I had plans to, you know, redo that for a long time, and I just never had the time because it would take a lot of investment and effort and work. And now that we're at the point where we're just going to be reviewing WoW, I'm probably just going to bake that into the Pandaria review. Or you could wait for the Lorecraft to come out in about a year. Anyways. And thank you, Sick Daniel, for the sub. Very, very much. Now, hang on. I saw a new face there. There you are. Bob H. Jones. I see it. I'm glad you like the Star Trek stuff. I hear that semi-frequently. The other thing I hear is that people hate my Star Trek stuff, but, you know, that's pretty normal. I had someone... I don't mind actually sharing this, because I had someone say, I was with you until you disagreed with Roddenberry. Now, it doesn't matter what I disagreed with him on. It's just something about that kind of got a smile out of me. Because we've been discussing lately in Discord, as several of our viewers are going through several treks for the first time, how disgustingly horrible of a human being Roddenberry was. And I mention that because the knowledge of how terrible Roddenberry was is only now starting to kind of disseminate into information, right? Into actually being something that people are aware of. And it's one of the reasons I constantly bang on about that point. Not because I hate him, I mean, I do. But because I need as many people as possible to be aware of the truth of that. You can still give him credit if you want to. People love Lovecraftian's works. And by all accounts, Lovecraft was a worse human being than Roddenberry. So you can still like, you know, Roddenberry's contributions to Trek. That's fine. I just want to make it really clear that the man himself was horrible. Very important. Sick Daniel, if you know what you want to put that towards, please let me know. Roddenberry's Lawyer was worse? I'm not sure I agree with that, but I don't have evidence to the point, so I'm just going to call that one a wash. Yeah, Mr. Meislish, by the way, if you're wondering who Trihexia is referring to there. Anyways, so enough about all that. Do I have any other show news? Let me double check here. So we talked about Dark Mode and the Mega... Oh, yeah. So a little bit of tiny bit of news. Some of you may or may not be aware of the fact that Final Fantasy IX Theater has been going live every Saturday, and it's been awesome. Now, the reason I bring that up, though, isn't just to plug it, although I'm totally going to be doing that as well, but also that we have been working on the next theater, which I'm not going to say what it is right now. But anybody who is interested in participating in that, we have a lot of one-off lines, about 14, I want to say, one-off lines. They're very short, but I want as many different people to voice those lines as possible for reasons that'll be apparent if you look at it. So if anybody's interested in participating, please let me know. Right now I'm waiting for, let's see, Frieza, Walker, and Blue Wind are the three major characters that we have left to do lines. I am in contact with all three of them. Blue Wind has actively been submitting lines. Frieza's been actively submitting lines. So the reason I mentioned this, I already mentioned this in the theater Discord, but if we somehow, no pressure, but if we somehow manage to get all the lines submitted by next week, by next Saturday, effectively, then that will mean that there's a reasonably good chance we'll be able to push out the next theater after the current theater finishes, as opposed to waiting however many years that ends up being. I just thought I'd point that out because that's kind of cool and would be a huge morale boost to me after spending 4 years of my life on the previous theater. Thank you, Jesse Ward. As always. And you know the question. If you don't know the question, then I have not been doing my job properly. So. There we go. Okay, so let's get into random news, shall we? We actually don't have any major news this week. I know you're thinking, sure we do. Major news, by my definition, is usually something that there's really a lot to talk about. And honestly, most of the events that have happened the last week aren't really major topic worthy. That's why it's all just kind of being lumped under random news. You got it, Sick Daniel. Dragon's Dogma. Done. Suikoden 1. Done. Okay, so first bit, Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas are getting modern releases with the... Well, they're going to be doing some kind of modern features. We have no idea what they are because they haven't told us. And we don't know details because they haven't told us. However, we do know one thing. They're delisting the existing digital versions of the game. So if for whatever reason you happen to want to own those, you should probably buy those now. Because by the time the next Loreweek happens, they will no longer be available for digital purpose. So, purchase. Excuse me, not purpose. Purchase. I can talk, I swear. So, FYI. The Actiblizzard Legality battle continues. Now, the reason this is a random news is because this is kind of expected, if we're being completely honest with ourselves. Some of you may remember that I spent an hour and a half or so talking about the EEOC's settlement with Actiblizzard with regards to that and how that was significant and blah, 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 blah. One of the things I mentioned is that that battle and that settlement would cause issues for the really big legal battle, which was the state of California's DFEH lawsuit against Actiblizzard. Well, apparently they agreed. They have already, and this is insanity, by the way, the speed with which this happened. They have already filed a notice to intervene and cancel, or at the very least reconsider the EEOC settlement. So, I'm not going to go into the full details, but there's a way to file things legally normally, and then there's a way to file things legally, this needs to happen right now. Now, even that system is flawed, because the this needs to happen right now queue is also pretty flooded, because not everyone agrees on what has to happen now and what doesn't, and in order to determine that, you have to review it, which means it has to go forward, and there's just some paperwork snag happening. But either way, they have done a this needs to be done now thing to halt that settlement in order to make sure that they can actually intervene with it, because if that settlement goes through, several bad things will happen. Now, we talked about most of those last week, or week before, whenever we actually talked about the EEOC settlement, but there are several primary complaints. The first and most obvious is the fact that the EOC settlement was not done to proper legal code. Now, this is true in several ways. The biggest and most obvious thing is that they did not actually have a fairness hearing. I agree. Well, if you don't know what a fairness hearing is, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The lawyers and the judge and usually some other representative sit down and go through things and legally hammer out that this is a fair and just settlement in accordance with legal law, both state and federal. They didn't do that, so that settlement, they're arguing procedural on that settlement just by that. They also mention, of course, that the financial allocation thing is horrible. We already talked about that at length. It is horrible, I agree. That's really not the point of that settlement, let's just be honest. But here's the big one. Now, I hinted at this when we talked about the EEOC thing. Because of the fact that by saying this, they are legally saying they did nothing wrong, one of the provisos is that the Actiblizzard will be able to literally, legally remove internal documents and evidence of allegations and complaints. Emails, physical papers, faxes, all that kind of stuff. Literally destroying the evidence of the DFEH case. It is almost assured that putting that proviso in that settlement was done specifically to be able to destroy the evidence for the other case. Almost guaranteed. I should probably mention something while we're here. This is the second time ever in the history of California existing that the DFEH has intervened with a settlement in a company that they're investigating. The other time was with Riot Games, and that infamous lawsuit, which you may or may not be aware of. So yeah, we'll see where that goes. You see why this is just a random news tidbit, because this is a whole lot of we'll see, but I thought it was worth bringing up the fact that the DFEH has filed that and is trying to intervene in that settlement. Frankly, I hope they succeed. The EEOC settlement was garbage. And as we talked about, it only accomplished one thing, and that was the consultant. So, other random news. Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts. I guess I'll talk. That's not even on my list. But we'll go ahead and talk about Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts, Smash. Woo, okay, that's cool. Also, the Kingdom Hearts games are coming out on the Switch. Not really. Now, I actually already talked about this on stream. We were streaming Bloodborne at the time, if you're curious. But I'm against this for basically all of the reasons. The idea, if this was Kingdom Hearts coming out on the Switch, I would have already bought it. I would have already pre-ordered. Because I would love to have Kingdom Hearts on the Switch. But that's not what we're getting. We're getting streamed Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, which is different for many reasons. So the first and most obvious reason is that mandates you having a very good, not just good, a very good connection for that to be a worthwhile playing experience. Problem number one. If I wanted to play my Switch while I'm hanging out at my sister's, or if I'm just you know, at a waiting line in my medical office in, you know, next Tuesday when I'm going to be waiting in the line at my medical office, I can't do that. I can't play Kingdom Hearts there. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is the fact that in 10 or 15 years, if I feel the hankering to play Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, it sucks to be me. Because the odds that the actual Switch servers will still be live at that point in time are practically non-existent. I will not have the game there to play in the future. Right? The third reason this pisses me off is this is lazy as hell. Because we've talked so many times about the difference between a good port and a bad port. This is bad port. This is lazy port. This is no effort put into it at all. They're just going to run the game on some distant server, no changes necessary, no work involved, and then charge for it again. I know we talk about how much companies like to charge for the same thing. This is literally charging for the same thing again. This is as lazy of a port as it gets. No convenience features, no work done into it, nothing. And then we get to the last and final reason this is stupid. Kingdom Hearts could run on the Switch. It can. I don't care. Now, the only one that's debatable is Kingdom Hearts 3. But based on evidence, I'm pretty sure even Kingdom Hearts 3 could run on the Switch. I guarantee you with 100% certainty that Tizara could run on the Switch. And that's impressive, really. I'm not sure how we're going to get that running, but we're going to make it happen. So, Tizara, I'm going to need you to get on this treadmill, okay? And we're going to hook some switches up to it. We're going to do some sciencey things. We'll have a checkboard, you know. Got the goggles on. Maybe a white lab coat. That'll make it feel more sciencey. Anyways, the point is that this is stupid on every level. The idea that Kingdom Hearts, everything other than 3, can't run on the Switch is laughable. Those games can run on the PS3. No offense, but we've seen Doom Eternal run on the Switch. And Doom 4, for that matter. And Civ 6, and Witcher 3, and I could name all sorts of other examples. It is It is a possibility to get a game running on the Switch if you put any kind of time and effort into it. Which goes back to that lazy port thing. Kingdom Hearts 3 would probably take more effort, and I'll be freely honest about that. But again, Witcher 3. And Doom 4 and Doom Eternal and all the other. So no, there's no good reason for this other than wanting to literally sell the same product for extra money without extra effort. And I know we also talk about how that's, you know, what a company's about is trying to make as much money with as little money as possible. But no, screw you. You spend money to make money, and if you're not going to put out a decent product, then you can piss off. Now, thank you, Evo, very, very much for the fake money. Is it Monopoly? Do Canadians just use Monopoly money? Because that would solve so many issues. You didn't say what you want to put it towards, so if you want to put it towards something, please let me know. Thank you. And thank you to Zara very much. Always and ever. And I'll put yours towards Mega Man. That's easy. And Evo's is going towards Hades. You got it. The final thing, if I could add the other thing that this pisses me off, just a personal note. So Kingdom Hearts is on the Epic Store, which I know. Just know. That's the end of that discussion. So we don't have... excuse me, don't have Kingdom Hearts on the PC. And I don't have Kingdom Hearts on the Switch. The two things I wanted it on. And the best part is because of how these things work, because of how this goes, the odds of us getting Kingdom Hearts on the Switch for real have dropped to virtually non-existent. Because that's how that works. A company very, 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 very rarely, like in the fraction of a percentile time, will release a new version of a port on the same system. That's not how that works. They release the port that they'll do, and that's the end of that. So since this is what they did, we will probably never actually have Kingdom Hearts on the Switch, and that sucks. And I've lamented that before. There's plenty of games that have been, you know, ported once and then never touched again, and it's always terrible. Anyways, so unless it's Skyrim, which frankly, jokes aside, would qualify for the fraction of a percent. The last thing I have to talk about today, this is going to be kind of a short one for Loreweek. Yeah, in 20 years it might be on GOG. So there was a Twitch leak. Everybody knows about the Twitch leak. It's whatever, but in the off chance you don't know about the Twitch leak, if you feel like being safe, changing your password and or changing your two-factor identification and or switching up your stream key, which some people don't even use anymore, might be a good idea. I should probably mention Twitch themselves reset everyone's stream key, so I guess you don't have a choice on that one. But you get the idea. This... It's actually difficult to explain in normal English why this is so terrible. Why this is as bad as it gets. Yeah, I made $30,000 in 3 years. If you think that's too much, then you don't know how bills work. I do not make that much money. I make enough. I'm not complaining. I am solvent, and I'm very happy about it. But... oof. Yeah, no. No, I didn't make... What was the top one? Like several million or something like that. Anyways, so nobody cares about the money release. That doesn't actually matter. To be blunt as I possibly can. That is utterly and inconsequentially irrelevant. No, the real reason why this is so horrifically, terribly bad is because this is the actual internal code that Twitch utilizes to function. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. There's there's four major reasons why these kind of attacks happen. One is ransom. You know, they want money. They want to get cards. They want to get data. By every account that exists, and I have been looking into this, that is the one thing this has absolutely not been doing, since Twitch actually does store their card and their payment information separate from what was hacked, so yay. So that's probably not the big one. The second one is national interests. Now, this is probably not that as well. If you don't know what this one is, well, just look at your latest Tom Clancy novel. I'm sure they'll give you misinformation about it. You get the point. Nations hacking other nations. That's the second big reason that these kind of leaks happen. Not on the table for this one. Okay, cool. So that's 2 knocked off. That leaves 2, and it's one of these 2 that is the reason. And ironically, these last 2 are the most dangerous by far. Because the ransom and things... how much money... There's a weird truth in the United States. I don't know how this is true in other countries. But in the United States, the more attention you grab by committing a crime, the more likely you are to be caught. Now, there are exceptions and asterisks and cynicism that can be attached to that, but let's just cut through all that. If you steal $3 million, the odds of you getting caught are very high, for example. This has happened. Right? This is actually semi-normal. The more attention you grab, the more resources are allocated towards dealing with you. And if they were trying to ransom Twitch for however many millions of dollars, this wouldn't go well for them. And usually it doesn't go well for the people who do that. It's a temporary hiccup. They pay out the money. They find the people who did it. They get the money back, usually part of the money, not the whole money. And that's the end of it. So that's honestly not a big scale risk. Not really. National interests, well, obviously that is a big scale risk, but also there's a whole lot of diplomacy and, political leaders interacting with each other, layers to that. And usually that kind of thing doesn't really happen on this type of thing. So that's not really a huge risk thing either for reasons I feel like I'm explaining poorly. So let's just move on to the last 2, because these last 2 suck. Reason number 3 is ideology. Now, I know that sounds like a weird thing, but the point is, a zealot doesn't care about whether or not they're paid. A zealot doesn't care about, whether or not they're caught. They're trying to do something because of a cause. Now, I use the word zealot. I probably shouldn't use that word, but you get my point, right? Someone who believes in something, like all of us do, is doing something because they want to accomplish that. If someone believes in open source, for example, and therefore, hacks Twitch and then releases all their information on open source, then their job is done. You see why this is so dangerous? Because they have accomplished their goal, and they don't really care about the consequences or fallout of that because they won. They hit their goal flag, right? And so those kind of people tend to do more because they're less afraid of consequences. It's the Joker thing all over again. Not that I'm equating this hacker to the Joker, but you get the idea. Good morning, Darth Bedoro. The 4th reason, and this is a fun one, reverse engineering and exploiting. So the fourth one is to try and release information on code or infrastructure in order to better understand it. And being able to openly just dig through the actual open source of the code and figure out exactly what you can do with it, how and why, is a motivation in and of itself. Either for good ends or bad, or because you want to make a competitor, or whatever reason you happen to have at present. Twitch, like it or not, has become open source as a consequence of this. I would be very much astonished if we do not see other people trying to go ahead and jump on this and try to reverse engineer their code to make their own. But that's illegal, you might say. Actually, no. As we've discussed recently, reverse engineering code is actually very legal and reasonably protected, and for the most part, it would be pretty easy for people to use this for their own purposes if they wanted to. So that may or may not suck. What really sucks is the exploit side of things. If you know exactly how something works, you have a substantially better chance of bypassing it or working around it or manipulating it. It's the vampire thing. All of it. It's the masquerade, right? A vampire's power is directly proportional, except for the really powerful one, obviously, to how much you know how to circumvent that. If you know what they're weak to, if you know how they operate, if you know how to defend yourself, a vampire becomes substantially less powerful. That is the very concept of the masquerade in a nutshell. So people can now look... I'm making weird references to this thing. People can now look at this code and try to figure out exactly how it works and potentially figure out how to exploit it, manipulate it, or move around it. And that is by far the biggest danger and by far the biggest threat, and why this is such a big deal. All the rest of that stuff is, let's be honest with ourselves, minor. Bumps on the road. This is the road falling off a cliff into an ocean that happens to be made of lava that is currently boiling in acid. And I'm not exaggerating. I actually do still know several friends who are in the security industry. A bunch of white hats. I know several people who've looked at this and are just like, oh my god. And yeah, this is mega bad. I will be paying attention to how bad this is for the streamers, especially the small-scale streamers like myself, because this is so bad. We'll see what happens. The best part is Twitch, last I checked, which was this morning, is still trying to figure out exactly what happened. They have some hints and some thoughts into what happened, but the current story, which has not been confirmed, is that this was just human error. Someone hit a switch incorrectly somewhere, and someone noticed and took advantage of it, and that's all it was. We'll see how Twitch reacts to this. If Twitch goes down and I have to switch to another streaming platform, YouTube is the only other option. And YouTube sucks for streaming. I'm just going to say that. YouTube streaming is garbage. It doesn't have any of the tools it needs. It doesn't have any of the functionality that I require. It doesn't have the support that would be useful. Its actual streaming code is awful. Its delay, built-in delay, is terrible and unavoidable. The chat is worse. Literally just functionally worse for people to chat in. YouTube is worse than Twitch in every way when it comes to streaming, but that is the only other option right now. Thankfully, there would be no effort involved. I would just stream on YouTube, but yeah. Now that's worst case scenario. And honestly, that is worst case scenario. It's not going to go down from there. Would it impact me financially? No. I mean, unless you're worried about... I can't even think of anything. So, yeah, no, I can't even make up a joking answer. So, no. There's no... Unless Twitch itself goes down, I'm fine. We'll see. Anyways, that's that news. Yay. As a reminder, we will not be streaming tomorrow, because tomorrow's a Monday. We will be streaming Tuesday. Hopefully we'll be able to finish 03 Tuesday, because I actually have a doctor's appointment Tuesday, which I hinted at. Now, it's in the afternoon. So the goal is to finish 03 and then finish all the rumination stuff before I have to go to the doctor's appointment, and then go to the doctor's appointment, and then, and then we'll be back to normal streaming on Wednesday. This is just a checkup for anybody curious. I imagine they'll look at it and say, good. And I'll mention the stitches to them. They might take... I think there's still one stitch in here. Yeah, there's no Monday streams forever. That's just normal. That is the current standard. That's why it is that way, because that day is devoted entirely to my family, and that is not changing in the foreseeable future. Now, if I win the lottery, then the Monday no streams will expand to the all-day no streams, and we'll never stream again. It'll be cool. I'm joking. I would probably still stream even if I won the lottery. As I've said many times, I happen to enjoy streaming. Is there a way we can get Twitch to invest in better infrastructure? We have no power to do anything, Jesse Ward. Let's just be very, very clear about that. Let's just make that abundantly clear. What Twitch will do about this is questionable, because Amazon likes to not spend money. Now you might think, of course they don't, but no, you don't understand. Proper utilization of funds is important. That means you spend it when you need to, and you don't when you don't. And too many people think the only way around that is to always spend, which is wasteful and stupid, or to never spend, which is wasteful and stupid. And Amazon's over on this side of the things. So Amazon is wasteful and stupid. Moving on. Either way, I don't know that episode's Zach Taft, I'm sorry. But I do know that we're going to go ahead and chop off Loreweek, because we're done.